Home Show Garden Pros, helping to turn your thumb green.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Home Show Garden Pros, the gardening show all about gardening. So this is our live TV version of the show where we like to answer gardening questions, get you thinking about gardening a little bit, and try to lift up some awesome programs and people in the Houston area that are doing cool gardening stuff. So Home Show Garden Pros is a community, is a family. We got a lot of ways to connect. Our Facebook Live show, is happening right now. YouTube, there's videos. So that's our great website, HomeShowGardenPros.com. Great place to go. Tons of tip videos, tons of information. So much info on there. It really is a great place to go for a gardener. Also, another great way to connect is our live radio show every single Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio 610. So every single Saturday, we talk gardening, answer your live questions, and just try to dish out the best gardening information we can. We feel super confident about our gardening information because we've gathered these incredible gardening experts from all over the city. So up there, 45, you got Nature's Way Resources. They have an incredible garden center now. You may not have known that. You may have thought it was just a soul place, but they have a bunch of plants. Beautiful spot. Warren Southern Gardens and Kingwood Garden in Kingwood. They send a person all the time. Just lots of great info. Beautiful places up there. Down southwest of Houston, you got Enchanted Forest and Enchanted Gardens, beautiful places also, and a knowledge specialist. You're probably getting the kind of vibe that we're talking about, knowledge specialists, places that just have incredible plants and know how to take care of them. Also in Katy, Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens, really a world-renowned place for their water gardening skills. So keep that in mind if you want a fountain or a pond. They are the place to go. And in 249, just past Louetta, you got Plants for All Seasons, another beautiful spot, and, great, knowledgeable staff. So great plants, knowledgeable staff, and I want to help you out. So these are all places that are really part of a community, part of our community, Home Show Garden Pros. On this live sort of TV version, what we like to do is to lift up gardening groups, nonprofits, people that are trying to make this city better through plant awareness. And so Texas Master Naturalists, do a great job of that. And we have with us now Chris LaChance, who is a master naturalist. Hey, Chris.
Oh my gosh.
With
Hello,
the big build-up.
how are you? Good to see you all.
Thank you. Good to see you too, as always. And Chris is a regular here on Home Show Garden Pros Live. And, we've kind of been through a lot. We've talked about some of her freeze damage, and so she actually has some cool pictures for us. We'll check those out over here. We have the before picture. This is the frozen version of your oak leaf hydrangea. Look at that. So that looks like it's pretty dead. You removed it, probably
sad.
cut it down.
I was very upset. That is like one of my most favorite plants in the garden. So yes.
Why do you love it so much?
I was bereft. It's so dependable typically, except in that picture I thought it was a goner, but it just puts on this profusion of these great big gorgeous blooms, which I hope you'll show in a few minutes. But and it's native, it's native to East Texas. It's actually native to a good portion of the southeast and even up to the north. And it just I come around the corner and it's because it does need some shade. It's like more of an understory type shrub. But yeah, this one, the one I have now is 6 feet at least.
Oh wow!
So
there it is, right
before
there, full bloom,
yes,
full glory.
There it is. Who would?
What
yes,
a difference!
Yes.
So really, no part of it died.
I know.
The leaves did they drop off, and then wow, I've seen a lot.
I did not touch it. Did not lay a finger on it. Didn't pull a leaf off. And that's what we need to do as gardeners. We need to pack our patience and let nature do what nature does best. So and also with that with the hydrangea, fortunately I knew that it blooms on old branches. So last year's branches are the ones that will produce this year's blooms. So even if I wanted to tidy up, thinking, oh well, I'll just get rid of some of these leaves or the ends of the branches, I would have just cut off all the blooms basically. Wow. So it's one thing that we need to remember. Just be patient. We are so focused on wanting to tidy up, right? So and we come by that honestly because we as Americans early on took so many of our cues from our British and European gardeners who really prided their very neat and tidy borders, and so we
Mm.
brought that here. And so, yeah, so being able to practice a little bit of patience and let's see what nature can do for herself.
That is awesome. And we call that American gardening because that's how we should be doing it with our terrain, our terroir, if you will. And
Exactly,
there's
exactly.
the plants that are doing it, and then there's the little creatures that kind of come in. And you also have another picture of us. I guess that's a large amount of dill, maybe that you got. Is that what that is?
It's flat leaf parsley.
Ooh.
Y'all see that little teeny tiny guy or gal kind of in there, little caterpillar. So
Oh,
that's a black swallowtail caterpillar.
awesome.
And I know it's um, uh, a black swallowtail caterpillar because we have this really nifty app called iNaturalist. Are you familiar with iNaturalist, Danny?
Absolutely love iNaturalist.
Yes. Well, I wasn't sure, so I Googled it because I wanted to be sure if I posted something, God forbid I post something and it's incorrect. So I wanted to be sure I got the right name for that, for the butterfly. And so when I Googled it, it came up with several different names like, anise swallowtail
Mm.
and giant swallowtail. So anyway, I went straight to my phone, took a picture of this caterpillar, and sent it off to iNaturalist. And within 15 minutes, I had a response telling me
Wow.
that I indeed had a black swallowtail caterpillar in my garden.
And
But
that is.
moving along to what I mentioned a bit earlier about not being so quick to tidy up,
Mm.
so that parsley, had bolted. It's parsley, as we know, is a cool season herb. So when it starts getting warmer, it does bolt, which means it sends up shoots, with and starts to go to flower. So, had I been too quick to pull that out, I would have this poor the poor caterpillar would not have had a good meal and been able to kind of go on and become a caterpillar, become a butterfly, which I tried to find the chrysalis but anyway, but I got to enjoy him and see him munching.
That is wonderful. And those are beautiful native
Yeah.
butterflies. I think a lot of times people think of monarchs as the only butterfly to really worry about, but it's great to have a bunch
Oh,
of
to be
diverse host
sure.
plants. Monarchs are amazing and have all the milkweed you can
Yes.
possibly get, but there's a lot of great options
Yes.
on there. It's funny you brought up patience because we have a regular watcher, Lori. Is that right? Lori or Laura? Lori. Laura, who she was thanking us because she asked us if she should cut back her wisteria. We, of course, said no, just be patient, just wait on it, do some American gardening, use your common sense. And she did. And look at that. It's
Oh
lush and
my.
beautiful and all grown out
Look
now,
at that.
all the way to the end. That's what I love about that picture. It's just
Wow.
lush. There is no other part. So this is why, this is why you
Wonderful.
listen up. This
Oh,
is why
good
you listen right
job.
here. Why you tune in and watch. So we are here to answer
Exactly.
your gardening questions. We have culled a few questions from our inbox from homeshowgardenpros.com. There's a button on there, the Ask a Pro button, and you can click that button. There's also a button on there called the Listen button, and you can hear the show from the last 2 weeks just playing, and a great thing to play in the background while you're working, driving especially, always a great time to do it, or our most favorite time to do it is when you're gardening. So if you have a question now, you're kind of paying attention, you want to get it into the comment section, we would be happy to answer it. So Chris knows a ton about it. We tell a little bit about the Master Naturalist programs and what you guys are accomplishing.
Oh, sure. So Texas Master Naturalists are part of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Program, and we're a large group of trained volunteers that are really our mission is to help preserve, conserve, and educate the public about our natural world. So, um, similar to master gardeners, but master gardeners are more focused on on horticulture. Master naturalists really have, um, wear many different hats and get involved in lots of different things, even down to, oh, helping helping sea turtles and patrolling the beaches and making sure that after the female lays eggs, that those little eggs, those little hatchlings are going to be able to eventually get out back out into the water. So just a myriad of things. We could spend the next hour just going over how many things Master Naturals do.
Well, we won't go over all of them, but I know that you also love a phrase, ecological gardening, where it's maybe not out in nature, but you kind of are letting your garden, your landscape function like it is part of this big natural system, from eggs to food for birds. So however might be the case, and just you're welcoming life in, and you're burgeoning, help that life burgeon as you will, and just makes a better world.
Yeah,
So
that's a good word. Yeah.
oh, thank you very much. Well, I mean,
You're welcome. Yeah.
what can I say?
Anytime. Yeah. Well, exactly. So I really have. Um, it's it's like organics plus. So we always talk about using an organic approach, and you know
Right.
um, um, first do no harm and all of that. But so this is actually bringing in the dynamics about all the organisms that are in our landscape and how they relate to each other and how they relate to the plants that we grow. So we basically our our goal, or my goal, is to create a wildlife habitat, and by
Mm.
creating that wildlife habitat, we let nature do what nature
And you get a better show. You get the birds, butterflies, more flowers, things like that, on top of anything, and even some pretty other bugs. So that is the way to go. And I do think that it's like people who are careful with their words. Those people. It's kind of gardening with that in mind, like knowing that your action is going to make an impact, be it positive or negative. That's depending on your action, but it's always going to have an impact. So that's the idea there, and you're a great example of somebody who's passionate about that and making a difference. So we're going to make a difference on these questions. You ready to answer some questions?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Question number 1. This is from Dulce. It's what are some things I can plant before the month is over? Hopefully the rain will slow down. So I had to put that exclamation in there because.
Well, I hope. I hope. I'm not sure if she's talking about vegetables or vegetables and um, perennials and things like that, or one or the other. So you're the veggie expert. So, and you have the calendar down as far as veggies. Now I do incorporate edibles into my landscape, but my focus is a bit more of the flora. So I will say for that perspective, so I'm still planting from seed um, some zinnias, and those are just so easy to propagate and to get going in the garden. And there really are several things that can go in. I recently planted some native salvia, the Salvia leucantha. I planted, goodness, some more echinacea. Yeah, just so many things. Some of the native milkweed, um, and yeah. So as far as that's concerned, it's been cool enough. The heat hasn't just decimated us yet. So there's still a lot of things that can be planted, provided you, you're fertilizing them well and keeping the moisture even. So, you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate the perennials perspective. On our website, homeshowgardenpros.com, there is a planting calendar that you should definitely check out. It's got some good advice there for you. It's kind of by month. So there should be some early June, late May stuff. But I'm getting okra in, plants that I've already got potted up, and we're waiting for some space to open up. Eggplant, it's not too late for eggplant still. If you want sweet potatoes on Thanksgiving, you should get some in soon, because now, they love the heat, loving the heat. Also, bush beans and summer peas are some things that I'm always going to go for every summer, because they take up a ton of space. And when plants take up a lot of space in the summer garden, that means you have fewer weeds and you have to garden less, and it's so hot that you don't have to go out there as much. So that's sort of my take on what to plant now. So hope that helps, and great thoughts on some perennials to get there. We did get a pretty long question here from Perry, a regular watcher, and so this question, tell me what you think it might be, but I'm just going to read it to you. It's good. Yeah. Perry says, "Howdy there, sir." Howdy. "I have this weed situation in an area of my yard taking over. Neighbor calls it an inch plant. Looks like wandering Jew with smaller leaves and grows tightly near the ground. It's starting to get tiny white flowers. I figure it's invasive. Want to get rid of it before it takes over. Agrelon was not effective. How can I send this thing to its grave? I have a Bermuda lawn, and this weed is in a low area, swaled for drainage." So I asked, is it Virginia buttonweed? Maybe Perry's can look that up real quick and see if that's it. But you have any thoughts on that exceptional question there, Chris?
Well, I guess I would say the first thing, I mean, if it hasn't totally taken over the whole lawn, I would just get out there with a little trowel and just dig it up. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be my first defense. Just dig it out rather than look for some kind of a chemical treatment or even a biological treatment. But just get out there. So yeah, it's difficult to say without a picture. And so
No, sure, for
that's
sure.
my only So that's my thought. I don't know.
Yeah, and in severe situations, I'll use Miramichi or another similar product called Axe, that is an Army-listed herbicide. For something like that, there is a horticultural vinegar that's 20% vinegar. Like your indoor vinegar is usually 1 or 2% vinegar, so there's like super strong vinegar.
Right.
And you can spray on a leaf, and that'll kill it. But a lot of times where we have swales, our herbicides are a lot less effective because that water is a lot more prevalent and it's moving everything away and kind of feeding new nutrients to it all the time. And so if you can get in there and maybe open up that with some Humates Plus or even some compost, that might solve the cultural problem, the mechanical problem.
Yep.
But I think Chris is right that hand weeding it out before it's a real issue might be something you want to do. Worst case, get some Miramichi or some Axe, not the body spray deodorant. Not that one.
Yeah, right. No, not
it's an
that.
organic
Although,
herbicide.
Yeah. So, but also as you mentioned with the humates, upping the fertility definitely, so that Bermuda can just outpace the weed.
Yeah.
And sometimes if we just again, as gardeners, be patient. Some of those weeds are season weeds, and once the heat sets in, then they tend to disappear. Now, I'm not sure if that's what he's got, but that's always a possibility too.
Definitely. That's a good one. Well, we're going to keep investigating that and trying to get to the bottom of Perry's problem. All right, here's question number 2 from the emails. This one's from Randy with an I. Okay, Dany. Wow, could you help me? I'm going to try, Randy. I need a vine that is full and evergreen, loves sun, south-facing, that I can trellis over my pergola frame. I'm over replacing the cover yearly. Bonus points if it flowers. And Chris, I think we're going to get some bonus points here.
I think we are. So one of my favorites for this situation is a crossvine. In fact, I have a pergola, Randy, and I'm going to get a crossvine for my pergola. So it is evergreen. It's a native, which is, I consider that bonus points. And in the spring, it will have this profusion of these beautiful tangerine tubular flowers that are that also attract hummingbirds, and it will eventually cover the pergola, or you could put one on either corner, and and really have it fill in quickly. So that would be my number one option.
That's a wonderful one. I was down at Mod, which is a coffee shop in Galveston recently, and they have a large pergola that's covered with star jasmine. And star jasmine
Oh,
is one of
yes,
the
there
ones
you
that's
go.
just it's famous for going sideways once it gets to the top, really making a dense kind of carpeted space. And
Nice.
you got to clean it out every couple years because you'll get it
Right,
building on
right.
itself.
And
I was
smells so
there,
good.
yeah, and it smelled
So
so good,
fragrant.
literally
So
heavy
fragrant.
with this fragrance, incredible.
Yeah,
Another really
it,
great one
it's
that is, what's that?
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, another great one that is wonderful for as far as native. It's called Mexican butterfly vine, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
pretty. And it's another one that really favors going sideways. So there's three good options for you. Each of them earning us bonus points. So I think all in all, we probably got about 480 something points
Easy. Yeah,
on
we
that
yeah,
question.
we topped that one. Yeah.
Yeah, like 486 maybe.
Exactly.
85. Okay, gotcha. Got officially 485 on that one. So thanks for all the points there, Randy. We are here to help. Keep in mind, if you have a question currently right now, you can put it in the comments section, and we will be happy to read it as we go on to question number 3 from the emails. All right, this one's from Brenda. Whew, Brenda sounds like Brenda had a bit of an adventure. So here's what Brenda writes. A Vitex was hit by a car early this morning, 4:30 a.m. See, don't plant your trees in the middle of the road. Maybe is advice number 1 here. Okay, I had to remove one of the 3 trunks. What is the best drench to help roots recover? I can't remember the arborist you recommended. And then the tree's maybe 15 years old. It's a Montrose Vitex, which is a really beautiful blue Vitex. So what's your thought
Mm.
on care for this plant, recovery from the plant, any root drench that you'd suggest?
Well, first thing, really assess the Vitex and kind of take some time to really see where where the branches are broken. And once again, I think letting Mother Nature kind of take over a little bit, and um, it provided that it's not a main trunk and it's going to be the demise of the Vitex. But as far as a drench, I know there's is it Rev is
Yeah,
one that is like a root stimulant. Would you recommend that, Danny?
that is exactly the one I could recommend. It's carbon rich, and so it's going to just enrich the soil around the space,
Mm-hmm.
help the tree
Mm-hmm.
do what the tree needs to do. So I will say this as you're maybe considering pruning back the smashed trunk is to not give yourself a horizontal final cut. That can leave that
Oh, good
trunk
point.
and then the roots open to further disease issues. So we are sorry about your tree, Brenda. That's brutal. Vitex, why don't you say a little bit about what Vitex are and what are some benefits to beautiful Vitex trees?
Oh, well, actually, when I was, I'm from the Northeast, so don't hold that against me.
No,
But
never.
coming down here, and of course, I missed plants like lilac and peonies and things like that. And
Mm.
when I first saw Vitex, I was thinking, oh my gosh, lilacs do grow here. So,
Nice.
but anyway, I soon found out it wasn't a lilac. However, it's just such a wonderful, tough uh, drought resistant large shrub. I guess large shrub even into a small tree, which sounds like uh, what we have here.
Yeah.
So beautiful kind of cone shaped uh, flowers in different shades of purple and lavender. So
Mm.
really a very attractive tree. Covered will be covered with hummingbirds and butterflies and all kinds of beneficial insects, pollinators, all of that. So definitely a win-win for that plant.
Yeah, for sure. So that's something you want to survive. They're very nice shaped and again, beautiful blue. And bees, butterflies, and songbirds will come and eat some of the seeds at the end of their
Yes,
season. So it's a
yes,
really great plant.
yes,
There should be more
yes,
Vitex in the world. They're gorgeous. Gorgeous.
yes,
All
exactly.
right.
Yes.
Moving on to question 4 here from the emails. We're going to go to that one right now. This one's from Susan. Susan, this is kind of a dark question for us. A lot of bad news for
Mm,
Susan. So, but she says my citrus was treated with neonicotinoids. For those of you who don't know,
mm,
this is a pretty powerful pesticide that people put in their plants to drive off insect infestations. There's a systemic treatment. For those of you who don't know, a systemic treatment is a treatment where they inject or expect that the pesticide gets in the whole tree. Every inch of the tree gets it in it, and it covers the whole thing from the tip of the roots to the tip of the branches. So her question is, how long before it's safe / clean for pollinators? So Susan's now worried about her pollinators after treating her citrus with neonicotinoids. I would maybe be worried about fruit also. That's just me. From an edible focused plant, I would be concerned there. But what's your thoughts here, Chris, on this question?
Well, yeah. So the big word here is systemic, which means every part of the plant has the pesticide in it. So and it doesn't, even if a leaf falls off or branch falls off, it it's going to retain that pesticide. And I guess going forward, should you replace the citrus or want to replace it, um, be sure that when you do go to a nursery, that you get a guarantee that it was not treated with that. And I know some of the big box stores, that's kind of what they do. Most of their stock is treated that way. So so if, for example, you have some milkweed, and it's in the store nursery, and suddenly it's being eaten by monarch caterpillars, and so that's not good publicity for the store. So um, unfortunately, that tends to be the norm. So once again, I would frequent the smaller, more independent nurseries, especially some of the ones who are our Home Show Garden Pros partners. And beyond that, Dany, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that the expectation for it returning to a non-dangerous place for bees and caterpillars will be about 3 years. And so
Yeah,
3 seasons of
yeah,
harvest, just dump them in the trash. I wouldn't even put them in the compost, frankly. And then,
right. Oh,
you're
yes.
going to have a hard time keeping bees off of the flowers on there.
Hmm.
And, pollen may not hurt them, but that may also be bad for the hive as well, not just for those bees that come visit, but where they go back to take it back. It certainly wouldn't be helpful for the giant swallowtail butterfly caterpillar that will be on that tree. And so as a host plant,
Right,
it's maybe not safe for another 3 years. So you can kind of dose it with
right.
molasses on a regular basis. That'd be a really inexpensive way to make insect repellent for it and
Hmm.
have bugs not want to get on it. And that might be helpful for doing it. So, but I think it's interesting that you mentioned just taking it out. And I doubt that's something that Susan's interested in. But yeah, it's just a tough thing to do with a fruit tree. I certainly wouldn't eat the fruit for a
Oh,
few years.
yes, it's an investment, and time and money for sure.
Yeah, and a
Yeah,
lot of these
but
products,
in the end, in the end, you're protecting wildlife, and you're protecting your family.
yeah, yeah, a lot of times these products they were considered safe 30 years ago, declared safe by an organization that didn't really know what to look for. The studies weren't long enough, and
Right.
now we're realizing there's some residual impact. So neonicotinoids in bees and other
Mm.
insects, they create neural problems in those insects, and it's just not something that I really want to deal with for my neighbors and family and stuff like that. So please be
Well,
careful when
and
you're
it
doing
also,
some of this stuff. What's that?
sure, and they're also um, considered one of the reasons for colony collapse for
Hmm.
honeybees. So that is definitely been listed on that on.
Yeah, some tough choices there. Um, Susan, we're gonna assume that you got the tree treated that way already, and you're rooting for the best. But um, yeah, it's a crazy world, and our goal is for the humans to make it better. So that's always the big goal. All right. So any big cool things coming up? You also do docent work for Houston Botanic Gardens, which is really cool. Will you tell us a little bit about that space and how people can learn more about it and get out there?
So it's one of the new botanic gardens. Um, it's near Hobby Airport. It's kind of down that part of town, which is kind of neat because there aren't very many public spaces between
Mm.
Houston and and the Galveston area in between. So it's a wonderful place to come and see all kinds of plants and see how they grow and see what will grow here. So
Mm.
as they call themselves, it's kind of like a zoo for plants, although
Museum
um,
almost. Yeah, for living.
yeah, almost a museum, right? Um, but having said that, there's so much going on all the time, and especially since the freeze, and I went there just a few weeks afterwards, and it was pretty
Mm.
sad. Most of the gardens were all brown,
Mm.
but coming back there maybe 3 weeks later, and I was just good old nature, just so many plants came back. But goodness, there if you go to their website, um, and you can see all the classes that they offer. We have docent tours on Wednesday morning, Saturday, and Sunday. Right now, we're having Sunday afternoon concerts, which is so fun. So you go to the garden at 3 o'clock on the Sunday afternoon, and for the price of admission, you get to listen to a really cool band and sit out there and enjoy wonderful music in the presence of beautiful spaces. Um, and also in the summer, Tuesday evenings are Twilight Tuesdays, so the
Mm.
gardens will actually be open until 7 o'clock. So
Cool.
you know you can get away from the midday heat and come to into the garden in the evening and see the garden from a whole different perspective. And I believe we will be having docent tours during that time too, so you can really take advantage of the garden in just some wonderful quiet time in
Yeah,
beautiful spaces.
Twilight Tuesday. I always love an alliteration,
Yes,
so that's nice.
always.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because they have the big family garden there. A ton of food growing exhibitions are always
Yes,
happening and classes and stuff. And
wonderful,
I actually helped
wonderful.
Joey Linderman provided a lot of those vegetables that are there, and I connected
Oh,
those
that
two.
looks beautiful.
And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
love the Lindermans down
it's
there.
really beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
gorgeous. It's well laid out, and then it's well stocked with veggies. But a lot of times it can be confusing when to pick and how to know what to pick. And so we're gonna hear from Joey real quick on how to pick some of those summer veggies you may be
Oh,
growing.
yeah.
We've got some okra here, guys, in containers. They're a great plant to grow in the heat of the summer in a container. Picking the okra at the right stage is very important, otherwise you might not be happy with the taste of it. This one is about the right size. If you wait too long, they grow really fast and they'll get super tough. So that one is a bit overgrown. We've got some eggplant down here. We're going to take a look at those. Eggplants come in lots of shapes and sizes and even colors. This one's getting a little bit big. You can usually feel it, and if it's starting to get soft, it really needs to be picked. It gets kind of tricky on the different shapes and sizes because not all of them ripen at the same stage. So feeling them is very important.
That is a great tip, Joey. Thanks so much for both of those plants. I've seen way too many okra in my time go past their prime, and that's such a sad reality because it's so yummy. Any other thoughts on Joey's teachings?
So I actually put some eggplant, right in the landscape last year, and that it really added like nice dimension to the garden.
Mm.
So with the beautiful colors, and I think I had a white one and a beautiful aubergine color.
Nice.
So yeah, so I like that. Yes,
That's a great idea. They have really pretty flowers also. A lot of times we don't
they
notice
do.
that in the veggie garden because they're too packed in. So they're a great landscape plant, kind of a large-sized annual. So that's a great idea, Chris.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And,
Oh, thanks.
and you got some young me eggplants if you like eggplants. Not everybody does.
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah, me too. But some people don't. And if you're one of those people, you should really try growing some of those white ones. The narrow, long ones that Joey showed us first usually have a lot different flavor than those big, huge honking ones you see at the stores. And so it's always nice to try one. You can just try one. They need about 2 feet by 2 feet. You can grow herbs underneath them, things like that. But they usually are in the garden when you don't want to be out there very often in the hot heat in the summertime. So great thing to just get out there and try. I mean, you always want to be trying new stuff. Well, Chris,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for being here on our Home Show Garden Pros live
my pleasure.
broadcast.
Always good with you. Yeah.
You're wonderful, and you always get great information. You're inspiration to us all with your drive to see just better gardening happen. So, thank you.
Thank you. That's very kind.
And then tune in,
Don't
everybody,
forget
on
I
Saturday,
asked
7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio 610, and get out there and garden.